Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Sanchez.
Good afternoon.
There is a folder in front of you with an oath.
Okay.
So if we could start off by you taking the Bible in your right hand and just reading the oath, the words of the oath, please.
I, Ina Iris Sanchez, swear, affirm that the testimony I shall give today before this commission in the matters in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Thank you. Could you state for the record your full name and your address and your position, your occupation, please?
Ina Iris Sanchez from San Ignacio, Research Coordinator, the Ministry of Agriculture.
Research Coordinator. Are you familiar with the operations at Central Farm? As
Yes, sir.
Research Coordinator, are you involved in managing those operations?
To which applies to research, yes.
Which applies to research. What about the sale of livestock?
That would fall under the livestock program.
Yes. Does that come under your purview?
Not necessarily until recently as the director of the station.
Oh, you're only recently appointed director
Yes.
of, because I was,
Not officially appointed, but a responsibility designated to me recently.
so right now you serve as the director of Central Farm.
Yes, unofficially.
Sorry?
Unofficially.
Unofficially. Are you familiar with the sales of livestock leading up to the general elections from Central Farm?
Yes, sir.
And did you cause a report to be prepared showing what sales took place?
The livestock program usually has sales every month, and the program coordinator is responsible to submit a report, a cattle sales report.
Yes. Was a report prepared for the period October 2019 through November 2020
Yes,
showing cattle sales?
On a monthly basis, these reports are submitted to the Chief Agriculture Officer whenever it is that a sale occurs.
And did you bring copies of those reports with you here today?
No, sir. I only have copies of the receipts
Copies
and the
of-
sales list.
Of the receipts and the sales list?
Yeah.
All right. Can I see a copy of the sales list? Just. Thank you. Let me get it.
Wait, that's not the... I have a copy of the sales held during that period,
Yes.
and also the sales. Just let me organize my papers a bit, please.
Okay.
This would be it.
Yes. Thanks. I've seen a protocol for the sale of livestock at Central Farm. You familiar with that protocol?
Yes, sir.
How did that come to be and what's the purpose of it?
Well, the protocol was drafted, I think, in 2017 or 2018, and it was to formalize the way cattle sale would be done at the station, just to provide some guidance to the livestock coordinator so that the sale would occur without any kind of mishaps and so forth, and it could be according to like financial orders or something.
Is the protocol adhered to?
I would say so, yes. There are times where perhaps they may need to make decisions based on the animals that would need to be sold. but this would be done in consultation with the coordinator and the chief in the ministry.
Do you have a copy of that protocol in front of you?
No, I did not bring a copy of the protocol.
Can you recollect? If I were to read it to you, can you confirm to us if that's the protocol?
Sure.
I don't want to test your memory, so
Okay.
I'll read what I have, and then you tell me if that's what you recollect it is.
Okay.
It says protocol for sale of livestock at Central Farm. It says cattle sale will be carried out once per month. The designated day is Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Is that adhered to? Cattle is only sold on Tuesdays?
Yes, most of the times.
Most of the time. So sometimes it's not.
Right.
I noticed the dates on the sales list. Most of the times it's not Tuesdays, or it's not recorded the day it's sold on the sales list.
If I could recall in the most recent sales, we have tried to adhere to the Tuesday sale.
Most recent, what would that be? What time period?
Well, we had a sale just last week. We had one in January.
You're talking
February.
within the last 2
Last
months or
year-
3 months?
Last year we had some sales as well, but it was not monthly because of issues we had with with COVID, and also with the pricing.
I see the last sale reported on your sales list was a bunch of breeding bulls and breeding heifers to Robert Montero on the 9th October 2020.
That was a Friday. That was one of the sales that did not occur on the Tuesday.
Yes, that's what I thought. But when I went through the rest of it, I don't think the rest were Tuesdays either. So it seems to me that the Tuesday sales are observed more in the breach.
Perhaps you could say that, yes, but like I said, in the recent months, we've tried to adhere more to the...
So there's more of an effort to stick to it now.
Yes.
Okay. It says a minimum of 2 out of 3 officers, OIC Central Farm Agricultural Officer, Livestock Central Farm Procurement Officer, must be present at any livestock sale at Central Farm. That's correct? And then it says the buyer will select only animals from those earmarked for sale and those that are in the corral. Correct? Are there times when other animals are sold?
No, when animals are sold, those are selected by the technical officers at the livestock section, and then the list would be provided for farmers. There's a list of farmers that they have, registered farmers, that they would normally call to let them know that we have sales happening. And then they would come and then they would select whichever animal they want to purchase.
Was that done for the sales in October to Mr. Robert Montero?
I would want to say yes.
You would
though
want to?
I was not there.
You were not there. Are you able to say?
If the information that I was able to collect was that yes, they had selected the animals, the technical officers had selected the animals, and they had presented these animals for sale.
Is it the practice to sell off breeding heifers?
Not necessarily. The sales list that we normally have is for breeding bulls and culled animals.
Yes.
There has been occasion where heifers have been sold, though what I understand from the program is that they would like to keep as many heifers as they can. When issues of inbreeding may occur, that's when they would have heifers for sale.
Yes, but then on October 9th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 breeding heifers were sold to Mr. Montero.
Yes, sir.
You think that was unusual?
I would think it's unusual.
It was unusual. Do you know who approved those sales?
It would have had to been a decision between the technical persons involved and the chief of the ministry.
Who is the technical persons involved and who are the chief of the ministry?
Well, you have, at that time, the minister was Mr. Halls, the CEO was Mr. Zuniga, our CAO, Mr. Harrison, and then you have the livestock coordinator, Mr. Denzel, at that time of that cattle sale.
Mr. Zuniga has just told us he has no knowledge of it.
I was in office at that time, but I was merely holding over since we had a station manager at that time.
So I would need to get an answer from Minister Holtz or the livestock coordinator.
I don't know that. That would be your call, sir. I don't know.
But do we are the ones that would have given the approvals?
More than likely.
More than likely. It says the weight of the animal will be determined by using the scale at the livestock section of Central Farm, and that recorded weight is final. It says an invoice will be issued to the buyer at the livestock section, and payment will be made at the main office of Central Farm, where an official government receipt will be issued. Before issuing an animal that is sold, an official government receipt and a movement permit must be presented by the buyer. Note that livestock section of Central Farm will facilitate the movement permit. Farmers who wish to purchase breeding stock need to submit their names in advance to the livestock section of Central Farm. A list will be compiled and verified that farmers are registered in Belize Livestock Registry before the date of the sale. The list will be categorized into two groups. One, registered small farmers with 50 heads or less animals, and other registered farmers with 50 heads or more. Policy is to sell breeding stock to registered farmers on a ratio of 3:1. Sell 3 animals to 3 small farmers before selling 1 animal to any other registered farmer. Each registered farmer may only be sold 1 animal at every sale conducted, depending on the availability of breeding stock. Is that protocol?
That's the protocol.
Would you say that protocol was followed in relation to the sale in October to Mr. Montero?
I would say mostly, with regards to the...
You would say...
Mostly so, except for the points where you mentioned with the regards to the amount of animals sold.
The 3:1 policy was ignored?
Well, we had a sale on Tuesday, and we did sell breeding animals to other farmers, and then this sale happened on the Friday for, I don't know why.
I appreciate you want to share what happened with us on Tuesday. What I'm asking about is the sale in October last year. And I'm trying to make an assessment, make a determination as to whether you followed your own protocols. So that's what I need assistance with. I'm not passing judgment. I'm not criticizing. I need to know what happened. Was the protocol followed in relation to the sale of Mr. Robert Montero?
I would say yes, for the most part, except for the points mentioning the amount of cattle.
In respect of those parts that was not followed, which parts would those be?
It would be having a list of animals that would have been available for sale.
There was no list of animals available for sale at that time. That's what you're suggesting?
No. Were you asking the things that were not followed? Sorry,
yes, and I'm taking them one at a time.
Okay.
And you've indicated that one difficulty was that the protocol requires that the animals available for sale be listed beforehand.
Yes, that was followed. That was followed.
You're saying that the animals were listed?
There was a list of animals pre-selected by the technical officers that would be available for sale.
Yes.
From that animals, they then decided which they would purchase.
Notice what I'm asking, because I'm getting hypothetical responses, and I want to be very clear to you that I'm asking about this particular sale. I'm not asking about what should or should not happen. Was the list published in relation to the animals sold in October last year?
No.
No.
It was not.
There was not.
Yeah.
The object of publishing the list of available animals is to invite competing bids for those animals, is it not? It's so others can make an offer for them.
So that others can come to the station and they can view the animals, and then they can select which animals they
decide if they want to buy.
Yeah.
So that did not take place in relation to those sales?
No, because this sale happened on a Friday, particularly for those animals that were purchased.
Yes.
Yeah.
So were there other bids received in respect of those animals?
No, and we don't necessarily receive bids in the way I understand the bids. What we have is we bring all the animals to the corral, and those interested to purchase would visit the
You see, Ms.
station.
Sanchez, I'm getting back to the same problem. You're telling me about what would and what should. I'm not interested in that.
Okay.
I'm asking you about what happened in relation to this sale. If you don't know or you cannot recollect, all you need to do is to tell me that. But don't take me in a loop.
Okay.
I'm not interested in a loop. Was the list published in respect of the sale in October, those animals that were sold to Mr. Montero?
I would not know if the list was published.
Okay. Were there other bids for those particular animals received from anyone else?
I don't know.
You don't know. Thank you. Once the animal leaves the compound of the livestock section at Central Farm, the animal becomes the sole responsibility of the buyer. Is that the entirety of the protocol as you can recollect?
I believe so, yes.
You believe so. If I go down your sales list, which you presented, I noticed that in a number of instances, there are multiple animals sold to the same farmer. Are you able to say whether or not the 3:1 policy, ratio of 3:1, was being observed throughout this period?
I would not think so.
That it would not?
That it would not?
Or that it would?
That it would not
It would not.
have been adhered to.
So I see on the 4th February, for instance, Adrian August bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 animals. And I don't see anybody else buying animals on that day.
Right.
Is that because he was the only buyer or she was the only buyer present during that sale? That sale was
I would
specific
think
for
so
that
as
buyer?
well. Yeah.
And then I see in the following month, on the 3rd March, Adrian August bought 3 cows again, and nobody else bought anything else on that date.
Yeah. That list indicates culled animals as well. If it's culled animals, then
Yes.
what I understand is that they can buy as many because it's mostly for slaughter. So
Yes, so the cull animals are for slaughter.
Yeah.
But what I'm concerned about here is whether or not opportunity is being offered to everybody to buy, or whether or not only certain people get to go there and buy. So it concerns me when I see that any particular day you have multiple animals being purchased, but only by one person, and there's no other sale to nobody else on that day. That's not a source of concern for you.
yes, and as far as I'm concerned, we have had. I've been in meetings where it had been mentioned to the coordinator to increase the visibility, but because of, I don't know, X or Y reasons, they would not receive as many farmers as they would expect. One that was repeatedly mentioned was the price of animals, being that it was too expensive compared to what would be on the market. And also the movement of these animals, and also they would question the quality of the breeding animals as well. So most of the times we would have a lot of culled sales versus breeding sales.
So is it fair to say that the prices at which these animals are sold are subsidized by the government?
I would think so.
That is, that the cost of rearing these animals, breeding and rearing these animals,
Right.
exceed what you're able to sell them for?
Yes, because we would need to consider as well the fact that the station, the activities at the station is just not merely breeding bulls. So if you would look at, the expenses incurred with staff and all of those things, then it would be more expensive for us to rear these breeding bulls if you would consider all the other operational costs.
Yes. I look at the list again on the 5th of March 2020, Francisco Cuello, but some 8 heifers, and I don't see anybody else bought anything on that day.
Yeah, I would not be able to give you information on that.
And then I see the sale on the 9th of October 2020 to Mr. Robert Montero. Five breeding bulls and 7 breeding heifers, but no sales to nobody else on that day.
That, like I mentioned, that happened on a Friday, which was particularly for that sale. In that same week, the report shows that there was a sale on Tuesday where other persons were able to purchase bulls, animals.
On the 6th
Yeah.
of October, some individuals bought breeding bulls, yes, including Mr. Jacob Friesen, Mr. Bernard Elias, William Perez, Byron Godoy, and Yulalo Toyud. Those are the ones you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And those would all be registered small farmers?
Mm-hmm.
So that you're suggesting that
I would
these...
not be able to say that they were, based on the protocol, small farmers. I do not know information about, I don't have the information about them.
So how do we know if the 3-to-1 ratio is being adhered to?
Again, the livestock coordinator could be able to provide that information.
Well,
I don't know the particulars about those farmers.
would Mr. Robert Montero be a small or a large farmer?
I don't know. I don't know his operation.
You don't know his operation. Well, if you don't know his operation, there's no way of telling if the protocol is being observed.
Again, as I mentioned, that would be something technical. While holding over, I was merely responsible to ensure that the steps with regards to collecting the revenue and the deposits would be made, and ensuring that we would have somebody there viewing the weights of the animals.
So as long as it was weighed and the price paid and a receipt issued, the rest of the protocol is really immaterial. Is that what you suggest?
No, I'm not suggesting that. What I'm saying is that there were different persons involved in different parts of the protocol.
So who's involved, who's to make sure that the 3-to-1 ratio is being adhered to, and that each registered farmer may only be sold 1 animal at every sale conducted?
The coordinator.
Well, it seems to me that the coordinator is not doing that. Is it not evident to you from the list? 1 animal per farmer?
Yes.
That's, your list shows that that's not followed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think those are the questions I have for you, Mr. Martinez. You have questions? No. Mr. Blake?
Just two points of clarification. From what period have you been the, as you put it, unofficial director of the Central Farm?
So the way the station was organized is that it had a station manager. The station manager is responsible for the administrative and financial matters of the station. Our station manager retired in October, I believe. So as the research coordinator, I would normally be called in to hold over during vacations and stuff like that. So therefore, I was called to hold over the office in mid or the last week of September. And then it was until like sometime in February of this year that with the organogram changing and so forth, I was designated as the director of Central Farm.
So you've been holding over since September 2020?
Yes.
And then officially
For the
since
period
February.
of vacation of the station manager, yes.
There's also mention in the protocol, of course, of the list of registered farmers. Who would be able to provide a copy of that list for our own verification?
Well, I'm sure anybody, like any technical officer in the ministry or chief, the livestock coordinator, they would be able to provide a list. I know that we have a list of farmers that they would normally call when there is a cattle sale, just to let them know that a sale is scheduled.
Okay.
Who is the livestock coordinator?
Well, because of at that time, it was Mr. Castillo.
Mr. Denzel Castillo?
Yes, sir. At that time.
Okay, so he should have some answers for us. Okay, those are the questions I have for you, Ms. Sanchez. Thank you very much for coming and you told us you have some documents for us, the receipts?
It would just be the receipts, because I did not know what to bring, so I just brought all the receipts.
Well, the list is helpful. I've seen the list, and the receipts reconcile with the list.
Yeah,
Well, maybe we should get them anyway so that we can do a quick check.
okay,
All right? Thank you.
okay.
Thanks for coming.